All right. I think we're live. Yes, I'm so excited to see you today. Hi, y'all. I'm Africa Archield. And today we're talking about what's really behind all that stuck energy and why it's the truth is that it has absolutely nothing to do with fear. I'm so excited to be here with you for the first episode of the 5-part series, Soft Fire. Right? It's where we're done, absolutely done, sugarcoating, and we're ready to lead from the soul. With just a smidge of sass, of course, because I have to throw that in there. So I want to know from you guys, if you're watching live, I want you to drop your favorite emoji and tell me what part of you tries to keep hiding. Right? What part of you tries to keep hiding? Hello, Jinx. It's good to see you here today. I'm so glad you're here. So if you're here live, drop that emoji. Let me know that you're here. And if you feel up to it, I mean, this is about visibility, right? Tell me what part of you tries to keep hiding. You know, we have done hard things. You, me, we've done really hard things. And we have survived, right? We've survived. We have survived things that probably should have taken us the F out. Right? And I'm not just talking about, I think the worst kind of embarrassment is secondhand embarrassment. You know what I mean? That's like the worst kind because it hits so differently than even when we have our own embarrassment. We're like, I was so embarrassed, right? Sometimes we get too much in our heads about what the hell other people think of us. And you know what? It doesn't matter. Like, I was literally reading this morning an email. I know at least it was an email this time. And someone was talking about how they were really nervous to start their business. They didn't want anyone to know. They were scared about what people would think about them. And they had finally pressed publish, right? I think they started out blogging. They finally pressed publish. And they started putting together a pretty thriving business. And they were kind of outside, piddling around in their yard, and their neighbor came out and said hi. They're friends with their neighbor, and they're like, I finally looked you up online, and you have an amazing business. And that was the first time someone had come up to her in real life, where it wasn't like I'm on stage and I'm talking, but someone had come up to her in real life randomly and said something to her about her business. 3 years later. 3 years. Already had a thriving business. Already doing 6 figures. Trust me, the people around you don't care. And when they do start caring, they're usually proud of you. So if you want to tell no one, that's fine. Meaning no one in your immediate circle. But you gotta tell somebody, right? You gotta tell somebody that you're doing what you're doing so you can start attracting the people that you're here to serve. All right, Jinx wrote, every part of me tries to hide still. I can stand accuse that too sometimes. And it's annoying that I want to be seen, but I don't know. Yeah, I do know what you mean. Sometimes you just want to shrink down because it seems like too much. It seems like whatever kind of fragile thing that's built around you that is supportive of you, it feels like it could fall apart. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but we are going to talk about what's the payoff of not being seen. Stay tuned. We are going to talk about that today, right? Because, when people do finally see you, could you get some haters? Yeah, you could. That's just part of it. Sometimes people say the most ridiculous things. If you want the most ridiculous things, Look under the comments of a celebrity who's aged like 1 second. You're like, this is all like crap and absolutely ridiculous for the most part, right? The hater comments are just ridiculous. And know that you probably won't get anything quite like that, right? And I know for a lot of people that are in this social space who are kind of coaches, consultants, healers, that first hate comment is like, woo, I made it because I'm being seen. Right? It's just part of visibility. And you will get, and you know this, I'm not telling you anything new. You'll get what you project out there. So if you think, oh, I'm going to get all these hater comments, you're going to get some hater comments, right? But if you think when people comment, they're going to love what I'm doing and they're going to be so excited I'm part of their lives and they happened upon me. Like if you have a positive outlook, you're going to get those positive comments coming back. So remember, you play a part in this whole thing too. Could some hater comments slip through? Sure, but you know what? They don't really matter. Look at the majority of comments. They won't be hater comments, baby. And those haters, who gives a flying fuck? Okay, that's probably going to demonetize me right there. All right. I'm on fire right now because this is something that I feel very passionate about. All right, so I want you to know when we shrink down, when we play small, right? It costs you every day. And I want you to know that being seen in your power is real, right? If you're afraid of being seen in your power, that is a real fear. Right? And it's because we've been conditioned to shrink down. This is especially true, obviously, of all of us as women. But if you are a person of color, if you're part of the LGBTQA plus community, right? If you're of any quote unquote majority minority, you've been taught to shrink down. And this includes those that just come from a lower socioeconomic group. You were conditioned to shrink down and to defer to others automatically. Right? So we've got to decondition ourselves from this really utter nonsense. This way so that we're not allowed to shine brightly. We're not really allowed to bloom and really become more of ourselves. We're conditioned that way because we're more obedient. Right? We cede our power in advance because we're conditioned to do so. It makes us compliant. Right? Do not defer automatically. You have a voice that deserves to be heard. Deserves to be heard. There's a reason something is beating in your heart to be said. I don't know if you guys have watched it yet or not. I did a Aries season affirmation. I think it was the last video I published. But I'll make sure, I know I have it in the description. I think I have it in the description, but I'll make sure to have it in a pinned comment or down in the comments at one point. But I want you to go back. I want you to go through those affirmations. You have a voice that is meant to be heard. Don't let them take that from you. Right? Don't let them take that from you. Because when you shrink, it keeps you exhausted. Right? Because you're trying to manage everyone else's feelings. Right? That's what's keeping you exhausted. Right? and you're overthinking about everything that you want to say. How's so-and-so going to react to that? What will this person think of me? Right? And that leaves you spiritually unfed. We don't want that. Nobody wants that. So earlier I said I would talk about what's the payoff of playing small. But before I get into that, I want to know, and I should have said this earlier, and I apologize, if you have any questions or something's bubbling up in you as I'm speaking, put it in the chat. Right? Put it in the chat. All right, so what is the hidden payoff of staying small? We're playing small. Right? Because there is a payoff. Right? We benefit from it. Right? We hate being stuck, but we benefit from playing small. How do we benefit? We don't rock the boat. People love us. Right? Because they can essentially walk all over us. They know we're not going to say anything. They know we're not going to do anything. Right? You get to avoid their judgment. Right? Earlier I said, well, what will I have to think about what so-and-so would think if I said this, or what so-and-so would do? Like, we get to avoid all their judgment. We're not gonna, how can we fail if we don't even start? Right? And we get to stay humble, which is kind of pious, right? No. You don't have to be humble. You don't have to be humble. Humble does not equal spiritual. Right? Humble does not equal spiritual. I'm going to say this, bring this example up because it's the one that's coming to my head. And if you don't know me, I'm Africa, hi. But my background comes from Judeo-Christian. I have a Judeo-Christian background. And so I used to read the Bible every year. I don't anymore, but I used to read every single year. A lot of my relatives are pastors or pillars of their church, right? And so very steeped in this tradition. And so the story that's coming to my head, people normally think about Jesus, Jesus Christ as being very humble, turn the other cheek kind of guy. Dude, when he got pissed, he got pissed. I don't know if you ever heard the story about when he went to the temple and there were people exchanging money, right? Which was a normal thing to do and, quite needed when you're having all these different societies run into each other. We do this kind of money exchange, currency exchange, typically electronically, right? I may buy something that the person who's selling it is in another country. Right? I think I bought something recently. The people were in I think maybe Germany. I think it was Germany or the Netherlands or something. There was a currency exchange going on there that I had nothing to do with. Nothing to do with, but it's happening electronically. Right? They're figuring out my dollar versus their whatever currency they're using. I just realized I'm not sure. But the euro or whatever, right? So that currency exchange is happening. And sometimes these money changers were taking like gold and turning it into currency. And what happened is when Christ walked into the temple and saw this happening, he was kind of pissed it was happening in the temple, right? Not the place for that. But even more enraging was these people were ripping other people off. How? They were weighting the scales. The scales were not weighted properly. It was weighted to the money changer's advantage. So it's like literally like skimming off the top, like giving themselves a little bit more of whatever it was. And really screwing someone else over. And that pissed him off and he turned over all the tables. right? And made a big fuss. Pissed a lot of people off there too, right? So you don't have to be humble. When it's time for you to stand up, when it's time for your voice to be heard, your voice needs to be heard. Piety does not equal humble. Say what you mean and mean what you say. And there's other examples, but that is like one big one I can think of off the top of my head. So, what does it cost for you to keep playing small? Right? What's it costing you to keep playing small over and over and over again? Your magic, my love, stays locked up. And I don't think that's what you want. Right? That beauty, that art, that creativity, that gift, that healing, whatever it is, it stays all bottled up. The people that need to see it don't see it. And the knock-on effect, your money doesn't grow. That experience that you want to have doesn't happen. That trip you want to take with your family and friends, you don't get to do that. That car you wanted, that purse you wanted, that house you want to buy, nope, don't get those either. Because you chose to stay hidden. You chose to play small. It's not worth it. That little payoff of no judgment, can't fail, staying humble, it's not worth it. It's not. Right? You need to stop shrinking. You need to start growing, stepping fully in to your leadership. Right? That's the next big step. Okay, if you've got questions, please throw them into chat. If there's a place that you feel like you're shrinking, share that as well in the chat. Right? So how do you stop? How do you stop shrinking? How do you step into leadership? Right? You've got to start before you feel ready. Right? You got to start before you feel ready. Like right now. Start right now. All right? Being ready is a giant myth. Right? Waiting until you're ready is a giant myth. Being in alignment is more than enough. More than enough. I sent an email off last Friday to my list. If you're not on my list, what are you doing? Sign up for something. Get on my list. Right? I sent an email out to my list last Friday because I was so stunned. I had a session with a woman. Actually, we had a soulful reset reading. And during her reading, she actually told me that she had wanted to reschedule because she didn't feel like she was what? Ready. She didn't feel like she was ready for what she knew this soulful reset would be. She didn't feel like she was ready for this next step. Guys, I just literally saw a limb just crash to the ground as I was saying this. Did not feel like she was ready. Right? So she almost rescheduled. And actually was thinking maybe she needed to just cancel and just forego the money she had paid for the session. Because she was scared. She was scared she wasn't ready. She was scared of stepping out, being visible, stepping into leadership, right? And yet, during the session, everything became crystal clear. And she was so happy she took that step, right? You need to remember, you don't need to ask for permission. that yearning in your heart, that desire, that little pinging maybe in the back of your head. You know what that means? That means Spirit, God, the universe has already given you permission because it has come up in you to do. Right? And just like the person I just had that soulful reset reading with, you don't need to know every step. That was part of their fear. They weren't sure how that was going to happen. Just let go of the how. And I know I'm that person who likes to have an entire plan. And I constantly have to remind myself, let go of the how, let go of the how, let go of the how. And just take that next step, that next inspired action. That's all you need to do. Take the next inspired action. Okay? Oh, Jinx, thanks for putting in my link for Soulful Reset. I appreciate that. All right. That's all you got to do, because when you're moving up that mountain, right? Let's say the top of the mountain is whatever it is you want to do, right? Whatever that goal is, that desire, etc. As you're moving up the mountain, you are taking that next step and then that next step. And you're going to have all these inspired actions as you start moving through, right? And sometimes they're not inspired. They're just those obvious, practical things that we have to do, right? So we're taking all the actions. And as we get to like a plateau and we look around, right? Like a summit. Plateau sounds like, I can't go any further. It's not that you can't go any further. Just looking around, it's like a resting spot. And you realize there's all these different paths you could take. And you were going to go on this one. But you realize now that you've come to the summit and you look around, that path over there, that is the better path for you right now. And it's just about taking each step, the next step, the next step, the next step. It will always be revealed to you. Right? Whether it's a spiritual nudging or something that very practically just shows itself. This is what I need to do. Right? You get both. Because we play in the 3D and the 5D. We're just cool like that. All right? So that's how you really step into your leadership. Because as you're doing those things, as you're taking the steps, as you're shining your light brighter and being bolder and speaking out, you become a leader. Because others will be watching you. Others will be even silently cheering for you and being ready to follow your example. Being willing to step up and step out. That is a beautiful thing. All right, I want to know if you've got any questions. If you do, please put them in the chat. I'm going to give you a few affirmations. I'm sorry. My brain is still over there on the video, on the Aries season video. Those really cool leadership affirmations. Make sure you watch it. I think, let me see if I have this. I can put it in the chat. I do. Here it is. It's in the chat. Okay. So, I'm going to give you a few journal prompts. Okay? So, the first journal prompt is, what part of me am I pretending not to hear? What part of me am I pretending not to hear? Ooh. Think about that one. We have learned, right? We've been conditioned to ignore parts of ourselves. And so when I'm asking you to go through these journal prompts, yeah, I want you to get calm. I want you to get centered. I want you to be grounded because I want you to be ready for things to bubble up to the surface. What part of me am I pretending not to hear? All right. The second journal prompt. There's 3. The second journal prompt. What does my life look like when I'm not shrinking? What does my life look like when I'm not shrinking? Right? You're going to do like a little vision quest here. Close your eyes and see through your higher self. See what things look like on a different timeline. You may just be inspired to jump right on over there. All right. The third journal prompt. What action, right? It's time to get into action. What action would I take today if I believed I could not fail? What action would I take today if I believed I could not fail? It's the third journal prompt. Think about that. And then I'm going to encourage you to just write everything out for that. What action would I take today if I believed I could not fail? And then pick one of those actions. Go for it. Come back to this video. Tell me about it. Let us encourage you. This is a community. And we support one another. Okay? We support one another. I'm going to get those journal prompts here really quick. And I'm going to go ahead and put them into the chat. So give me a second. There's journal prompt 1. And here's journal prompt 2. And journal prompt 3. If you have questions, put them in the chat. I would love to read them and reply to them. And if you're watching this as the replay, put your questions down in the comments. I will still come in and respond, right? Look, you have done the hard part. Surviving, trying, waiting. That's the hard part. Now it's time to live, right? It's time to actually freaking live and lead by living to your fullest, by living out your joy, by living out your purpose, what your gift is. You will lead. You will lead, right? You just need to show the hell up. You need to show the hell up. Now, if anything I've said has really hit, like if it has hit, and you're ready to stop playing small, let's work together, right? My Soulful Reset reading is the one for you if you're already in that in-between. If you feel ready, but you're not ready, you know what I said? Like, you'll never really be ready. Sometimes you just need a bit more clarity, right? The Soulful Reset reading is perfect for that. Clarity, next steps, it's all there. We get a lot done, right? We might even find some things that were blocking you and pull them the F out, okay? Or if you just want to talk more about your needs, I do cosmic consultations for that reason, right? So you can book a Soulful Reset reading, or you can book a cosmic consultation. Both of those are great next steps for leadership, And I just to remind you, today, this was part 1 of the 5-part Soft Fire series. Right? Truth telling for spiritual women who know they're meant for more. I would love for you to like, subscribe, and definitely turn on the bell notifications. Like, turn them on to all, right? I don't want you to miss any part of this series. Okay? If you've been in business for a hot minute, right, but you have yet to scale, you will love, love, love part 2 of this series, right? And it will be available. When it's available, you should see it right here. Here's me hoping I pointed the right direction, right? So if it's available, you will see it right there. So I'm Africa Archield. If your spirit has said yes to this truth, check out the description or the pinned comment, and let's get to frickin' work. Peace, joy, love to you